Welcome to Glow State. I'm your host, Courtney Page. As a former executive recruiter, career coach, actor, and yoga teacher, I'm demystifying how people have designed the creative career and life that was meant for them, and how you can too. Now, for this week's episode, let's get glowing. Our guest today is the absolutely incredible hair colorist, Crissy, my hair girl. Crissy and her co-owner, Gianna, opened their studio, Ash and Honey, during the pandemic, and against all odds has not only succeeded in running a thriving business, but continues to grow and evolve. And she did all of this before the age of 30, which is ridiculous and amazing. She has combined her creative skills and her business prowess and is one of the most professional and authentic people I know. So welcome to the pod, Crissy.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. What an incredible intro.
I know. I love watching people like squirm when I introduce them. They're always
I know. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for coming on. I know that you work a ton. And you've been working
just a little
crazy. Yeah, I saw on Instagram the other day, like you had like 6 appointments in one day or something, which
I'm really trying to get back on that Instagram grind.
I feel like you're so good at it.
Oh, it is no joke though. It's like a second full-time job. So
yeah,
trying to like redo it again.
Do you feel like you're naturally into that, or is it like hard for you to kind of want to do that?
No, I am the complete opposite of what you see when you're in my chair.
Okay.
I am the most like introverted extrovert ever. But like when I'm at work, that's my like safe space. So I feel like good to just be like authentically me. So social media is hard because you have to be so open and on all the time, and I'm not. I have to find that like balance.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like you have. So that's so interesting because I would say like you're totally 100% an extrovert. Have you ever taken any of those quizzes? Like do you know what you are? Like the Myers-Briggs one?
Oh my God. I just did it and I don't remember what it was, but I know that it was like a majority of it was like introverted, quiet, the complete opposite of what I think 90% of my clients would assume like I am all the time. Like I drive in like utter silence. Yeah.
That's so funny. Like you said before we started recording, you're like, I'm an open book. So I would never like.
For sure. I don't know. I guess maybe I'm like a split of both because I am very open.
Yeah.
But I love being zen, chill, and quiet.
Like you need the balance.
Yeah, I need the balance. Yeah. Maybe that's the best way to put it.
Okay, cool. Okay, wait. So if you were like at a dinner party, what would be your answer if someone asked you what you do?
Okay, so I have like always struggled with this because I love what I do so much, but like I hate talking about it.
Why?
Because then it becomes like a full-blown consultation wherever I am. Like I've been at a bar before washing my hands and someone's like looking at their hair and I'm like, oh my God, girl, I love your color. I do hair. And then I'm in there for 45 minutes doing a full consultation.
Yeah.
So I typically always say what I do. And I'll say that like I'm a hair colorist, but sometimes I'll lie. And I'll say like I'm a teacher.
Really? What grade do you teach?
Kindergarten. That's always my safe go-to.
That is so funny. Oh my gosh. Just because you're like, I don't want to get into a 45-minute
Yeah, like I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty today.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so that's fun. Do you ever say like, I'm a business owner?
Yeah, so I typically lead with that and I'll be like, oh, I own my own business. And then it like segues into, oh, what do you do? Like, what business do you own? And then we'll segue into, I'm a hairstylist or I'm a colorist. I refer to myself as a colorist more than a hairstylist because that's what I think is more of like my niche.
Okay.
So we'll like segue into that.
Yeah. So, okay, when you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I always wanted to do hair.
What? Since
yeah.
Wow. I love when people know.
I gave my sister her first highlights when I think she was like 6. So my mom had bleach box dye under the sink. Like I would always go with my mom. I mean, she was a stay-at-home mom for like a short period of time. So we were always with her. And I would go to the salon with her and she would get her hair done. I always saw they were doing like the tin foils and stuff. So I found the box dye and I put my sister on the counter and started with aluminum foil, putting the dye on her hair. And she had money pieces before money pieces were a thing.
Oh my God.
And I think I was probably like 10.
And your mom was cool with you coloring your 6-year-old?
Oh no, she wanted to kill me. She wanted to kill me. I remember I came out of the bathroom so proud.
Did it look good?
Awful.
Oh. Awful. Okay, so where, like, Was your mom like always at the salon and that's why you were drawn to it? Or
Yeah. So when I was younger, my mom was like super blonde. So she had like a lot of like maintenance and upkeep. So we were always like with her. And she's a mother of 3 girls. So anywhere she went, we were with her. So I loved that. But I also just loved like the beauty industry. Like I was always such a girly girl. If we got the grades and we got rewards, like I was the one that was picking up little cosmetic compacts and stuff. And that was always my thing.
okay, were any of your other sisters into that?
Complete and polar opposites.
Okay. Both of them.
Both of them. Just now, like one at the age of 25 learned how to curl her hair. Okay. And the other one doesn't even touch her hair.
Okay.
So they're so different than me.
They're so lucky they have you then to like
seriously so lucky.
Okay, cool. So when you were like, I'm going to go into hair, did you have any, like, were there any external expectations that were kind of placed on you? And how did those expectations affect how you saw your future or your career? Like, was anybody like, that's not a legit thing to do? Or
Yeah, for sure. So I'm first generation for my dad. So for him and my mom both, education was like super important. Like my sisters and I from a young age were always taught school, college, degree. That was the route. And my dad's a mechanic. So he was in a trade. He knew the ins and outs of building a business. And he is a business owner now. And I think he struggled a lot. So he just like feared that for his girls. So I went to college. I did the traditional thing. And I hated every ounce of it because while all my friends were looking at like universities, I was looking at beauty schools. And I remember I showed my mom a Veda where I eventually went years later. And she was like, absolutely not. You have to go to college and then you can figure it out. So did college for a while, was not good at it. And then one day I was sitting in a lecture hall, hysterically crying. I called my husband, who we were dating at the time, and I was like, I can't do this. Like, I'm so unhappy.
oh.
I need to do something that like sparks joy. I'm a creative soul. And he was like, all right, drop out. So I dropped out, went to Aveda, enrolled myself into beauty school without saying a word.
Oh my God.
Still lived in my parents' house, by the way. And I was 23. So I felt like there was a lot of pressure on me that I put on myself because a lot of my friends at that point were already like either graduating college or like about to start their careers. And I didn't know what I wanted to do. So there's a lot of pressure on me to be good or be good. And then when I told my parents, my mom was like so excited. She's like, okay, I think that this is what you need in life. You're a little lost. And my dad didn't speak to me for like 3 months.
What?
Like, we spoke, but there was never like, I'm proud, like, I'm excited. I think you're doing the good thing. It was immediately, I dropped out of college with literally 1 semester left.
Okay. That was one question I had because if you're 23, like, were you 18 when you went into college?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So you had
So
a
I
semester
dropped out
left.
like 1 semester left. It was like one of those things that I'm sure as a parent, it's like, what are you doing? But I genuinely needed to do it because I knew I wasn't going to be happy doing else.
Yeah.
He said, you're going to struggle. You're not going to make money. And we'll see where it goes. And I graduated. My dad was my first men's cut I ever did.
Oh.
And that man cried when I was done doing his hair because he saw how happy I was. And he was like, great, if you're happy, success will follow. And obviously he knows like how well the business does now and everything. And he'll call me every day and he's like, how did you do today? What are your numbers? I'm so proud of you. So complete 360 years later, but there was a lot of pressure on me that I put on myself. And then obviously from my parents.
Yeah. Wait, so where is your dad from?
So my dad's from Uruguay.
Okay.
He came when he was, I think like 19, 18. So he struggled a little and the career he went into isn't the most, I don't know how to word it. They don't have the best reputation, mechanics.
Okay.
So like some people fear them and sometimes it's hard to get a good reputation and get a good clientele. So he dealt with all that. So I think he feared that for me.
What happened in those 3 months that he was just not talking to you? Like, were you trying to talk to him and he was just like, no?
Yeah, so there was support there, like in the sense that I was about to take out like a private loan, right? And my dad is the kind of person where even though he wasn't supportive emotionally or vocally, he like helped me pay for school. I still
was
paid
like his
him
way.
of being like, hey, listen, like, I don't think this is a great idea, but I'll help you. So he paid, I did pay him every month though, back. Like I was paying him, I think it was like $10,000 that school costs after financial aid. So I was paying him But it became more like transactional versus like, hey, dad, this is what I did in school today. It was very base level until he saw that this was genuinely like what I was good at and I was passionate about it and I was going to like come hell or high water, like succeed.
Yeah.
So it shifted the relationship for a little bit.
Okay.
For sure.
And now it's good because he's like, you're happy.
Oh, yeah. We're thick as thieves.
I mean, I love that if you're happy, success will follow, because I definitely think that is so true. I mean, yeah.
For sure.
And it sounds like when you were in college, it was just like your soul was dying.
I wouldn't wish that kind of pressure or stress on anyone because it was awful. Like I definitely lost a part of like who I was and a little bit of my identity being in school. Like it was just not what I needed to fulfill me as a person. And I could not imagine.
Yeah. What was it about it?
It was everything. I'm a very creative person. So everything I was going into was so structural. Like I was studying criminal justice. There's no creativity there.
What made you choose that?
So my mom, I mean, obviously she's going to listen to this podcast. I was telling her about it, but she's going to die that I'm saying this. But I did not apply to colleges.
Okay.
My way of thinking was if I don't apply, I'll go to beauty school. My mother applied to colleges for me. Okay. So both universities I went to, that woman sent in those applications.
That is hilarious. So mom.
So Johnson and Wales was one of the universities that she applied to because it was a private university. And obviously I was going to get in because they don't look at like ACT, SAT scores because I didn't study for that shit. And I bombed both of them.
Yeah.
So she was like, that's an easy in. And they had a short program. It was like 2 years for criminology and fashion. So it was like pick one or the other. And I thought like, oh, easy, I'll be in and out type of deal. But it was awful. So bad.
Yeah, I know. No, when you are in an environment that just does not vibe with you, it's going to show up.
For sure.
And so it's just, there's no way to mask it. Like you're going to know and everyone's going to know. Yeah. So, okay, cool. So that is so interesting. So you had all of those like external expectations that you were working through. What was going on like with you? Like what internal expectations did you have that you were like, were you like, I need to be super successful to make this worth it? Or were you like, I'm just gonna see what happens and screw everyone?
No, this was like, I had a full breakdown moment with myself and I had to have a serious conversation of like, this is it. You either do it or you do it. There was no failing. Like failure was not an option. A lot of girls that I went to beauty school, it was just something that they were doing to like pass time or because they didn't know what to do in life. And like, I literally studied in beauty school. Like some people study like in Harvard. Okay.
Because you were into it.
Every night I was like, yeah, like I was so dedicated. Because I knew that if this is what I wanted to do, I couldn't just do it like very lax. Like I had to be the best. I'm also like an all or nothing type of human. So if I'm going to put myself into something, I'm giving it my all. Like I can't half-ass it if it's something that I'm passionate about.
How do you deal with the pressure that you put on yourself? Like that's like a lot of pressure to be like, you have to, like there's no option.
I like thrive with pressure like that. If other people put pressure on me, 100% it's not going to happen.
Okay.
And I think that's why I was so bad in college because it wasn't what I wanted to do and I had no expectations for myself. It was everyone else being like, you have to do this. So I just didn't care about it. But for beauty school, like it was me to put the pressure on it and I'm not going to fail myself. So I thrive when it's me.
Like you need to be accountable to you.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. To me, and I love trying different hair colors, and for the most part, I've like stayed within the natural kind of realm. Like I've never really whatever, but I like love it. And I think the first time I ever did anything with my hair was sun-in when I was like 10. And
same.
Yeah, I like sprayed it all over. We were on a boat and my dad had just started dating my stepmom. And she brought it and she was blonde, like she's blonde and like super like German, like blonde, and put it all over my hair.
And you were not.
I fell asleep in the sun and I woke up the next day and no joke, my brother's friend was on the boat and he was the first one who saw me and he was like, that worked.
Orange.
It was blonde. It was just like, it was platinum blonde, like platinum.
Oh my God.
And then it like
I love
grew out. My dad was so pissed. Like it grew out and like the ponytail was platinum and then my hair was like, I looked like a skunk. Like it was awful. So as much as I love other people now doing my hair, you mainly only your hands are the only ones that touch it other than my own. Like,
Love that.
yeah, I love hair coloring and I'm so like interested in it. And it, to me, it seems like it's an intersection of like science and art.
It is, for sure.
So were you good at chemistry or
No.
but why are you so good at hair color? Like, how does that work?
The chemistry part of it is like a tiny little fraction. So like once you understand how the chemicals react and how the chemicals work, that's embedded in your brain, right? Like I know that if I mix bleach and developer, the reaction is the hair is going to lift, right? That's never going to change. The art part is like the color theory and all of that. And that's where I thrive. That's like what I love because everyone's hair is so different, right? So like your hair is going to lift different than my hair lifts or someone who has like previous color. And then once I'm like mixing my toners and like all of my little concoctions, that's when like the magic happens. Like I get to use my artistic side to know like, okay, if your hair is yellow and you want to be a nice ashy white, I got to mix like purple and gold and like all of these tones to give you your end result, right? It's not like I just pick up like one bottle and put it on your head and like voila. I get to have a nice creative control of like what comes out of it. And that is something I like absolutely love.
Okay, so you were at Aveda. That was where you started and you went to hair school. And then that's where I met you. You were working at Aveda.
Yeah.
And I think it was around, I don't know if it was right before the pandemic or after or what, but you started getting really into balayage, right? Am I saying it right?
Yeah.
And that was what you opened your studio as a specialty studio, right?
Yeah.
That was okay. So what is balayage? And what was your like draw to that specifically?
So anyone that you find, right, in any career that's super successful or has a good clientele or a good following has like their niche, right? Something they're really good at. Plastic surgeons, they're either like really good at boobs or like tummy tucks, things like that. So I knew that I had to find something that I could be the master of. I didn't want to have like knowledge of everything and a mastery of like nothing. I wanted to be able to master something and like hone in on it. I love very low maintenance everything. Like I'm a mascara and like ponytail type of gal. So I very much attract that kind of clientele too. So I knew that I didn't want to have super high maintenance clients. So I found balayage or lived in color. And it's just basically a technique that everything that I do is just it's blended very softly. It doesn't require a lot of color, a lot of maintenance. And I got into that. And once I started, I built a great clientele. And from there, it just kind of snowballed into like my niche. I don't think I really had that much thought into it, if I'm being really honest. The salon I started at was very black and white. Like women came in to cover their grays. People came in and got highlights done. There was no magic in it, as cheesy as that sounds. It was very like day to day, it was the same thing. Around the time that I started getting into hair, Instagram was starting to evolve. Instead of like peace sign selfies, it was like all these like educational videos or people like showing their craft. And I was like, I want to do that. Like these women and men were talking about having balayage clients day in and day out. And I never saw that. So I just started kind of dabbling into it. I will say no one taught me what I know. Beauty school is not what I think people think it is. It's very much like VPK of the beauty world, okay? Like you're learning your like 1, 2, 3s and your ABCs, but like you're not learning very much after that. It's very baseline basic. And at the time, I didn't know like that there was like mentorships out there. It wasn't really something in the salon I was in that was nurtured or really ever shown. It was a very dog eat dog world. So you like sank or swam on your own. I remember, she's still my client to this day. A client of mine followed me from beauty school. Okay. Why? I have no idea because I was not that good at the time.
I'm sure you were.
She swears I was. Without even asking her, I tried a balayage technique on her that I had seen on Instagram. Okay. And I'm a very visual learner. So like once I see something, I can kind of translate it. Saw like 3 steps of the technique and just started doing it to her hair. And it came out really good. And she was obsessed with it. And then it trickled from there. And then I bought like those mannequin heads and started practicing at home. And I kind of just like honed in on my skill myself. And watched YouTube videos, and that's really where it
amazing,
started.
though.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that is so interesting. One, because I'm always curious to know like how hair people figure out how to do stuff without like putting it on someone. Wait, so when you're using a mannequin, is it human hair?
Yeah, so it's human hair, but it's so weird because when I'm doing like your hair, for instance, and I'm doing your color, sometimes I'll put that shower cap over you or I'll put a towel over your head. That's because your head is creating some heat. So like I get like beautiful color results, but a mannequin, like they don't produce heat. So at first, like when I was doing the color, I'm like, damn, like why are all these girls coming out so much lighter? And then I'm like, oh, duh, this mannequin doesn't produce heat.
This isn't
not
an
going to get the same
actual
result.
person. Yeah, that's so funny.
Yeah, it was great because I was able to practice a lot that way. So
That's like so interesting though to know that you followed balayage more for a niche effect than through like an actual like interest in like the technique. With the business aspect, what was the easiest and the hardest part of the creation of the business? So you found your niche, and were you already with Gianna at this point, or was this just like in your head? Like, take me through that.
So Gianna and I had worked at the salon together. We started there pretty much at the same time. We were both just kind of running the front desk, and then eventually we started on the floor together. We ended right before COVID as the two top stylists in that salon, which the owner at the time had been in the industry for maybe 30 years. And he had never had two fresh stylists that had ever made the amount of money that Gianna and I had made in 1 year. I mean, we made the same money that one of the stylists who happened to be our manager at the time made after 12 years working, you know? So
you were good.
We quickly, we quickly realized once that happened that the environment we were in wasn't going to nourish the growth that we were seeking. The world we're in is, it evolves very quickly. It follows fashion. It's very progressive because of Instagram. So when the pandemic happened, I took that opportunity because I was not working to like fully dive in. I was teaching classes on Instagram to beauty schools, and I was taking classes, and I was a little more active like on Instagram. And I started realizing like I was gaining a following just by doing like little things at home. I was doing like curling tutorials, and I had all these girls reaching out like, oh, I want to book with you when the salon opens back up and all that. When we got back to the salon, I brought all my like fresh ideas to my boss. And I was like, listen, I want to start making videos. I want to start booking girls through Instagram. And I had like such a fire built in me, and he immediately shot it down. He was like, that's not how things work here. If you get people that follow you on Instagram, those are not your clients. Those are my clients. They need to call the salon to book me or to book you. And then we'll go from there. And Gianna had that same fire that I had because she was doing the same thing I was doing on Instagram. So anytime like these girls are reaching out to us on Instagram, we were literally like sneaking up to the front desk, and we were like, hey, this girl doesn't want to call to book. Can you just book her for me? And we had a good relationship with the guy in the front desk. So he was like, yeah, no problem. But eventually our boss caught on, and it made like a little bit of a toxic environment at the salon. So one day Gianna and I were just like shooting the idea in the back of like, what if we left and we started our own thing? And it was kind of like a fleeting thought. We talked about it. We laughed. No big deal. And then something happened at the salon with me, and I went into the back room and I looked at Gianna and I was like, it's not an idea anymore. I need to get the hell out of here. And she was like, all right. I mean, at the time, Gianna was 18. Okay.
I was going to ask because you guys are babies.
Yeah. Gianna was 18. She lived at home. She didn't have as much to like, quote unquote, lose. You know what I mean? She had the security of like her parents. So after I said that and she was all in, I was like, oh shit, I have to go talk to my husband. Hold on. I was like,
just let him know what's
like,
happening.
Hold on. Like, let me talk to my husband first and like, let's see. Because you have to realize this was only like a month after COVID happened. So we're talking about like, I was out of a job for 4 months. My husband took a huge demotion money-wise from work.
He works in the food industry.
Yeah, he's in the food industry. So there was a lot. We had a house. So there was a lot that was going on that like I had to kind of touch base with him. But I already like lit this fire in Gianna, and she was like, ready? So I sat my husband down and I was like, listen, this is my idea. This is what I'm thinking. And he was like, do it. At that point, I was really unhappy where I was.
And he knew.
And he knew it. And he was like, you did not sacrifice as much as you did to be unhappy. Your hands literally create your art. Leave. So I told him I'm going to need at least $6,000 to $7,000 to start this journey. And Gianna's going to meet me, match it, and that's what we're going to need to open then. And
where did that number come from?
That number came out of my ass.
Oh, okay. Oh my God, I love it.
I did not know what I was doing, genuinely. Like, this was the blind leading the blind. Like, Gianna and I had no idea what we were about to start.
This is why I wanted you on the show, because I'm like, I know that there's this like crazy story. Okay, amazing.
Like, when I tell you, we had no idea, like Courtney knew. So I called Gianna and I was like, all right, he's in. Like, I have $6,000. Let's do this.
Also, just like shout out to the supportive partners.
Oh my God.
Like, yeah,
for sure. Like, if I did not have that man, I mean, he's literally the reason why, as cheesy as this sounds, don't let it get to your head, Jonathan, when you watch this, okay? But yeah, I wouldn't have the career I have if it wasn't for him. I would probably be teaching kindergarten right now.
And not getting stuck in a bathroom for 45 minutes, but
it would not be, I would not be where I am. Yeah. So I think it was literally the next day, I went to Gianna's house and we started looking up like salon studios. And I think we saw like 5 studios and all of them were like no windows, very enclosed. And then we found the one that we were originally in, which you remember how small that was? It was like a closet. And then we expanded to the one that we're in now.
No, so I don't think I came to that one
because
I was pregnant and I was like in a shadow lockdown.
You're right.
It was like the Delta variant was going on.
It was raging at that time. Yeah. So we found a salon that, I kid you not, was 300 square feet for 2 stylists. It was intended for 1, but the landlord was like, listen, if you want it, it's yours. So we put in our deposit and we gave ourselves 2 weeks. Mind you, these 2 weeks, we were still
2 weeks
working.
To what?
Gave ourselves 2 weeks to set up a salon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
To, like,
so we
create a whole salon.
We were still working at the Aveda salon. But in this industry, it's very taboo. Like, you cannot tell your boss, hey, listen, I'm giving my 2 weeks notice, because the very old school mentality is, oh, you're going to take my clients. Like, if you leave, you're going to take everyone with you. So for
you
2
just
weeks,
kind of leave.
Yeah. So for 2 weeks, Gianna and I were working, telling our clients, hey, listen, I'm getting out of here. Don't say anything. And setting up a salon. We opened up and I went from being pre-booked 3 weeks, which for a new stylist, that's pretty big. Having 3 weeks of a steady paycheck is huge, to having 5 days booked in my studio. So it was a huge adjustment at first, but that sparked a fire in me. And I knew that I had to make money.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's always like a really big question for people thinking about starting their own business or doing it either as like a side hustle or just like going for it. So it's interesting to know that you didn't just like jump ship. You kind of put your ducks in a row and stay there for a little bit. But
I gave myself 2 weeks.
2 weeks is short though. That's like a short
It was quick.
runway.
It was quick. Yeah. It was quick.
Yeah.
And we really didn't leave with much. Like, I left with my tools and I would say probably 15 clients is what I told, just because I didn't want to take anyone that had history with my former boss. I didn't want to do that because I think I would have felt very dirty. As much as I didn't love the work environment, I respected him as a business owner. This industry is very small.
Yeah.
I didn't want to like taint my relationship with him or like who I was as a person. So I only told clients that I got either through Instagram or because they sat in my chair randomly. You know what I mean? If there was no history there, then I was going to tell you. Are there people that later on found me that had known him for years? Yes. But that at that point is completely out of my control.
Yeah.
I became real good at selling myself, I'll tell you that.
How did you become good at that?
I literally became a door-to-door salesman on Instagram, is what I did.
Tell me. Like, what did you do?
So,
like, you just found random people?
Yeah. So what I did was, we were in Coral Springs, which is a totally different market than I was in. I was originally in Boca. So we're talking about a totally different county. I went from like West Palm to like Broward. So I found like local coffee shops, boutiques, anything like yoga studios on Instagram. And I literally started following every woman from those accounts. So
Okay.
at the time, Instagram only let you send 60 messages a day. So I had a script that was written out that basically said, hello. And my Instagram portfolio at this time was pretty good. Like it was built up. So I knew that it could sell itself. But I had a little script that said, hello, my name is Crissy. I'm a new colorist in the area. I just opened up my own studio. I offer these services. If you book with me, you get a free blowout and a free, I think it was like moisture treatment. And for every 60 messages I sent a day, I would probably get like 1 or 2 replies back of like people that wanted to book me, which at first was so discouraging because I was like, oh my God, like I don't have enough money to pay myself. But over time, I mean, I still went to work every day with like a smile on my face and I was so happy because it was like my own space. But over time, it went from being booked like 5 days to being booked 2 weeks to being booked like 5 months, you know, out. So little by little, it like worked. And I did that, I would say, for probably like 6 months where I was just like hustling and sending out messages and trying
on
to get
Instagram.
On Instagram. Like that's literally the only thing I did. Just because like I think the art form of like going out and like meeting people and handing a business card has like died in my industry. People are very visual. I go out to eat dinner and I'm immediately like, what does the food look like?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I felt like if I did it through Instagram, it was better.
Yeah, no, definitely. But that is so it took about 5 months to get.
I would say it took about 3 months for me to be able to pay myself and 5 months for me to be steady, where I felt like comfortable. Because you have to remember, my clients are low maintenance. So every 3 months they're coming in. So at that like 5-6 month mark, I started seeing like return faces.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, so if you're telling people during that 2-week period at Aveda before you left, they just got their hair done. So like if you only tell 15 people, they don't need to get their hair done. Like that's part of the beauty of the technique that you use is that it is. And as like, I have 2 little kids, like I love it because I don't have to go in that often as much as I love to see you. But like, it's so easy and it looks good and it works, especially for like where we live. It's like beachy hair. You know?
It's so beachy. Like it's easy peasy and you look good even when you come back.
Yeah.
Which is great.
It is. And it's also a testament to like, you know what you're doing. But
thank you.
I mean, there is kind of that, like, you have to wait for the clients to need you just because of the specific service. But that's still like a really, like most businesses, they say minimum a year, you're not going to be able to pay yourself. Like you have to be able to withstand that. So that's like really short. And you only used Instagram. Like how many followers did you have to begin with?
So when I started, I had like 850 followers.
Okay.
Of those,
to me, that's like a lot, but
listen, of those 850, like 400 of them were like friends from like high school and life. Because I took like my profile and like turned it into my hair page. And then like those other ones, when you do paid ads that just like would start following me. So I feel like once I started doing like my door-to-door salesman, that's when I started getting people that actually were interested in like what I had, what I was doing, like my craft.
Okay. All right. So,
but I started with a little following.
But that's like so interesting. Okay. So can you talk about imposter syndrome and if that is something that you've ever like?
Huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gianna and I talk about
You're
this.
You're just so confident to me. Like, I don't know. You like, I feel like I would.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Fake it till you make it, baby.
Okay. So tell me, like, do you both struggle with that on a day-to-day basis still, or was it more prominent at the beginning?
Yeah, I think it was definitely more in the beginning. We genuinely did not know, excuse my French, like, can I curse? But like my ass. Okay. Yeah. Like I did not know like what I was doing. So even when I think I'm talented, don't get me wrong, but I don't love saying that like, oh, I'm the best at what I do or like no one else is better than me because that's not true. You know what I mean? There's so many stylists out there across the street from me that are stupidly talented. So when I started on my own, I felt like I was always like reverting back to, oh, like, why are people coming to me if there's other people out there that are better? I had that voice in my head.
Yeah.
Until I got an assistant. she was the kind of the reason why I was like, okay, maybe we are good at what we're doing. Because I started seeing her work get better, and I started seeing the things that I was teaching her actually were giving her the result that she wanted, and she was doing beautiful hair. And I think that's when it like clicked in me that I was like, okay, I'm not faking this. Like, I actually am good at what I do. But I think that was my turning point for me. Don't get me wrong. I still have my days where I'm like, am I really good? Like,
Yeah.
but I think that for me is when it clicked. Like, no, you kind of do know what you're talking about a little.
Like once you were kind of in the position of mentoring someone else.
Of mentoring someone else, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes that is interesting because you get to, it's a very different application of your knowledge, like
Yeah.
as opposed to just doing like even just hearing yourself explain something that you just do instinctually.
Yeah.
You kind of end up realizing how complicated it actually is.
Yeah.
And
You just nailed it by saying that. I think for me, it was that it's instinctive. I sometimes just do something because it feels right. So then when I would explain it to her and it actually translated properly and she got it and it made sense, I was like, oh, okay.
right. Yeah.
That
And
makes
sometimes
sense.
it's like you're explaining something and they're like, what? And you're like, oh, yeah, like you don't know how to
You don't
do
know
this.
that?
Oh, like I guess I know how to do this. Okay, let me show you or whatever.
A million percent.
That's really good to know because I think that is something that just in any career, people don't realize how, like, what their actual skills are.
Yeah.
And that not everybody has those skills, like in whatever industry you're in. And sometimes it does take just having someone ask you, like, to show you something that you're
Yeah.
like, how do you not know? Well, oh, okay, like, cool, I'll show you. But that's really interesting. So, okay, I want to like go back to the art part of this because you said a lot, you're a creative soul and like this is art. And so you literally create art like on people's heads, which I love. And art just by I mean, it's so subjective. So, okay, my sister-in-law, I remember this is like such like, I don't know why this was so like funny to me. It was almost like there's a scene in Fleabag with the hair. Have you watched Fleabag?
No.
Oh my God, you have to. First of all, like it was
need
from
to
a
watch
couple of
it.
years ago. It's so funny. But there's an amazing scene with a hairstylist. And my sister-in-law had this Fleabag moment. If anybody's like listening and knows what I'm talking about, she had like a Fleabag moment. So I went up to visit her with my husband. It's his sister. And it was normally blonde. Like she has green eyes, blonde hair, like curly. And that's just always how I saw her. And she wanted to do like a darker blonde. And she was like really upset with how it came out. And she's like, I had to like divorce my hair girl. And it was darker. Like she was pretty blonde. And I was like, let me see, like, what did you show her? Like, what was the picture? Like, and so she shows me the picture. And I was like, that is exactly what the picture is. It's exactly. And so it's so interesting to me. Like, people just see things very differently.
So
especially with colors. Like, my husband and Paul and I will go look at, like, when we were painting a room or whatever, I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, that is red. Like, and he's like, no, it's like an orangey red. I'm like, no, like, so people see things very differently. How do you deal with that? Like, how do you approach that? How do you deal with that? Like, if someone's like, I want this blonde color on, what do you do to make it so someone's like not having a Fleabag moment?
Those Fleabag moments happen so often. It is insane.
Really?
I wish Gianna was here because her and I have such different tactics, and it's so funny because I tell her all the time, like, we're literally the perfect pair because like we're bad cop, good cop type of vibe, you know?
Who's a bad cop?
Oh, me.
I was like, I know it's you, but I need you to say it.
100% it's me. I am so like honest, black and white, like you get what you get type of vibe. So I mean, I'll have clients that like show me pictures and they're like, I want this gold color. And it is copper as copper gets. I mean, like copper, like how your hair used to be copper. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And they're like, it's honey. I'm like, girl, where do you see honey?
Okay.
Like, what? So it's a lot of like breaking it down. And Pinterest is my best friend. Like the way that I use Pinterest is insane. Okay. Like I am constantly like flipping through like pictures, and I like to call it my mood board, where I pick out 30 photos that are within the same tonality. And I'm like, okay, pick these out. But I mean, it's going to happen. There's going to be that one client that even though you give them exactly what they're asking for, in their head, they're picturing something else. I think that's what it comes down to. They're seeing the same photo you see, but in their head, they're picturing something totally different. What I've learned is that honesty gets me way farther than kissing people's butts. Like if someone, because it comes down to like, do you have the same undertone that the person in your picture has? Can you carry that tone of color? If that girl has tousled waves and you only wear your hair straightened, those layers are not going to look good. So I have found that being like dead honest with my clients works really well. And I avoid a lot of those like hiccups because sometimes it's that you want that copper, but that copper just doesn't look good on your skin. And that's where that disconnect is coming from. Not the picture, but how you feel with the color.
I also think I'd be interested to know if you agree with this or you're like, no. I think people have like an idea of what they like. We don't see ourselves like other people. So sometimes like I, for example, thought I was like cooler, like tone or whatever it's called, the undertone. And my stepmom was like, no, what? You're like warmer.
You were so warm.
Like, no. Yeah. And so for so long, I was doing like before you, I was doing this like ashy shit. And you were like, no, we're not going to do that.
No. Yeah.
And so, I mean, people just haven't, it's almost like just even taking a picture of yourself. Like you think you look good in a picture because of so many reasons.
Yeah.
And somebody else might be like, this one's better. Yeah. So you're almost like a therapist in a way.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, not certified, but I definitely am one.
Yeah. Like
I always joke I'm going to write like a tell-all book when I retire.
Yes. Oh my God. You need to do one now. Like, yeah, I will read that in a second. But like I guess like if someone comes in and they have like a very opposite idea of what will look good on them and they like, how hard do you push like to be like, are you like, it's gonna look awful like if you do that?
Oh, I push as hard as I have to. And I'm not gonna lie, like I have turned some people off. Like this is why I'm saying I wish Gianna was here. Half people.
What does she do?
So Gianna I admire her so wholeheartedly because we are such total opposite people. And I will say that when we went into business together, we were friends, you know what I mean? Like, but we weren't what we are now. Like, I consider her like a sister. Like, we're best friends. I trust her with everything. But I'm happy that we went into business without that relationship first because it allowed me to really get to know her as like an artist and a business owner and a person. She is so like level-headed. She can tackle any challenge and just remain like perfectly calm. I'm not that person.
Yeah, you get like revved up.
Yeah, I get a little revved up. And if I know that something is not going to look good on a client, my go-to line is always like, if someone's like, I want to be this color and that service is going to charge, like I would charge them $500 for it. And I know it's not going to look good. I will never do anything for money. Okay. I always say I'd rather be dead broke and have a happy client than make money off of someone that I know is not going to be happy later. I've gone as far to tell a client, like, no, like I will not rob you of your money to do a color service that's not going to look good on you. Have I had a handful of people leave my chair and send me to hell? 100%. Yes. But I refuse to put my name on something that I know isn't going to translate the way that you're seeing it in your head. Now, if it's a client that's like, hey, I had blonde hair and I want to go dark, or hey, I want to try red. All right, if it's going to look good on you, let's try it. Even if it's not going to look good on you and you really want it, we'll do it. But if it's something that I know, like your hair is going to fall out, it's not going to look good, it's just not going to translate, it's not happening. At least not in my chair.
Will Gianna do it?
No. If she knows it's something that it won't look good on a client, she just has a better way of...
Different, not better. Just
okay, different. I'll take that. A different way of approaching it where I'm definitely like cut and dry, like, I explain it, but I'm not going to sit here for 45 minutes and like coddle you and tell you like, maybe one day I'll look good on you. Like, no, your undertones are warm. You can't carry ash. It's never going to happen.
Yeah, it won't happen. Like I've tried, guys, just don't like play with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so interesting. But I just love hair. And I love that you came on to talk about hair. And I mean, it's like, you're an artist, you're a scientist, you're a business owner. There's like so much happening. You just rebranded. You were at Elysian salon, and now you're Ash and Honey.
Yes.
So like, what's next for Ash and Honey and Crissy?
We have some exciting stuff. So with the rebrand, we want it to be more than just hair. Like we want to bring a little bit more to you guys. So we're starting our permanent jewelry journey, which we're really excited about.
Ooh, what is permanent jewelry?
So they're like the little bracelets that are like welded on.
Mm,
And they're so cute and dainty.
that's cool.
So we're starting that. And we just want to have just a little something to like elevate the experience and bring you guys just a little bit more. So that I think that's what's next. A little sprinkles of something.
So like if someone's getting their hair done, they can get that done
So
in your salon. Okay.
Yep, that's how we want to do it. We want to do it where like if you're getting it done or if you're getting your hair done, we can offer to do permanent jewelry. We also want to do like little markets. I mean, my end goal and Gianna's end goal with this is we really want to start doing like women-owned business Saturday type vibe things, like almost like a market.
I love it.
But we couldn't do hair. Like there's no way that we can have like a little farmer's market of women-owned businesses and I'm like slapping a balayage on someone's head. So
Yeah.
I wanted to like
Could do sun in.
right. Gianna and I both wanted to be able to bring in like a little something else because we know so many talented women that own businesses. And I just want to like empower everyone. Like I want to find a way to just like bring all these women together. All of us share our craft. There's a little bit for everyone to go around. So
everyone can have a piece of the pie.
100%. 100%.
Yeah. I love that idea. I love it.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, do that. Please do that. Okay. So this is like my final, I have like a fast response section. Okay. So it doesn't have to be that fast. You can take as much time as you need, but it's meant to be pressure. Like, don't think too hard.
Okay,
like,
don't think too hard. Got it.
Okay. What advice would you give your younger self and at what age would you give that advice?
If I could go back and talk to my younger self, I would give myself advice at 18, right when I was in high school. And I'd tell myself to just go for it, to not listen to other people and just do it for me.
Do it for me.
Yeah.
I love that. What's the best career advice you've ever been given?
You will never work harder than you will owning your own business.
But it's a good work hard.
It's a good work hard. But that was the best advice I was given because I was told that right before I started. And it was a fleeting thought. And then I started working 7 days a week and I was like, okay, this is normal. You have to do this when you're starting out type of deal.
Like I was told.
Yeah.
And it's true. Okay. What is your favorite quote?
Not all that wander are lost. I think that was a really big one for me for a long time. Yeah. I love that. I
like that one. I love quotes. Like the
me
reason
too.
I ask people that is just because I just want to hear quotes. Okay. What is the single best daily practice that you have in your life right now and why?
My daily affirmations. Truthfully, I got into it because of my husband. He starts his day religiously with daily affirmations. So I started doing that and I do it when I'm in the shower. It's very mindless at this point. It's just part of me. But I feel like it sets the tone for my day. Like it puts me in such a good mindset and it like centers me. So I can't start my day without it. I love it.
And you just kind of just do it in the shower?
Yeah, I have my own little mantra and my own little sayings. He does a little different than me. I mean, he listens to someone. I can't do all that. I have my own like practices that I do. I love it. I feel like it just puts me in the right mindset. And when I'm like having that moment in the day where I'm like, I just like repeat it to myself. And I'm like,
okay, what is your like go-to pump up song? If you have like a big transformation that you're going to do or just like whatever to go to the gym.
You're going to hate this answer.
No, I'm not.
I don't have a pump up song. I know. I wish I did, but like,
what did you do to pump up?
I don't even know how to answer that because I think that I'm like at a constant state of like,
pumped
maybe. Is that what it is? ADHD?
You're just naturally pumped. That's amazing. Oh my God.
But it's usually a Celsius. Like I'm throwing back a Celsius and I'm like going into whatever it is.
People are so into Celsius. I see that shit everywhere.
Yeah.
It's really good apparently.
Listen, that like
Celsius is your pump up song.
Taylor Swift to pump up and I'm like, pass me that Mickey Celsius. I need it.
Oh my God. That's funny. I've actually like never tried one. And
do yourself a favor and just crack one open.
Okay. All right. Cool. So balayage, can you just like explain like what is balayage? Like,
Yeah.
it's lived in color. Like what? Yeah. Cause we talk a lot about that, but like,
So it's basically balayage is like an umbrella. It's like saying highlights, right? There's a bunch of things that fall under it. So it's balayage / lived in color. There's teasy lights, there's hand painting. There's a million one ways to get that look. It's more of like the term for what falls under it, but it can be like an array of things. There's so many techniques that can give you that balayaged lived in look.
okay. And so my other question that I wanted to hit, I don't know if it was an Instagram story that you did or just like a picture, but you were like, this is like my concentration face. And you were like super into
yes.
Okay. So do you just find yourself there and you're just kind of like in the zone, like so the reason that this is called glow state is because I'm super obsessed with flow state and like that in the zone when you totally like just time is gone.
Yeah.
It looks like that is what was happening.
Oh,
in this picture.
100%.
Do you do anything that to like kind of help you get into that like super zoned in mindset, or do you just find yourself there?
I just find myself there. Like there's times where I'll be like so deep in a conversation with a client and the conversation's great. I'm super engaged, but at the same time, like that creative part of me is starting to like mellow me out and I just get lost in the sauce. And like, I don't even realize that like I stopped talking. I'm just like so like honed in on like, and in my head, I'm telling myself like, damn, this is going to look so good. Like my face is not saying that. My face is saying like, I'll cut a bitch. But what I'm really thinking is, oh my God, this is going to look so good. Like, I love that I just put this foil here.
Oh my God. I love that. Wait, okay. So that is like what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like that's flow state. Do you ever find yourself in that kind of zone, like doing anything else, or is it like just hair?
Yeah. So recently I found that I'm not letting my husband listen to this podcast. Okay. I love cooking and I specifically baking. Like and I make a mean blueberry lemon muffin. Okay.
Oh my God.
But when I am baking or I'm cooking, I think it's just like the mindlessness of it, that it's very like therapeutic. You're just like measuring things out, gone, lost in the sauce. It is great.
I think that's interesting because baking is also kind of like chemi. Like, it's like, it's very exact. So it's almost kind of, there's like a parallel there.
For sure. Well, like, you know what it is? I think it's like the measuring out. Like, I know that there's going to be a good end result. That's why I say baking over cooking, because like sometimes like cooking stresses me out.
Like, I'm the opposite. Baking to me is like the exactness of it. I'm like, oh, let's just like throw some sugar in.
Yeah, you can't do that.
You can't do that. No, that's why I'm more of like a cooker, a chef, I guess.
Yeah, that's the part that stresses me out. I'm like, how much salt? And my husband's like, a pinch. I'm like, what the hell's a pinch? Like,
it's a pinch. It's a pinch. That's so funny. Okay, cool. That is awesome. Thank you so much for coming.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I had so much fun.
And if you're, yes. Okay, so what is your IG handle?
Oh, it's at Crissy Styles.
Okay, Crissy, Crissy.
Yep. No way.
And where is Ash and Honey? How do they find you?
Oh, yeah. So we're in Coral Springs at the Vino. Yes, Coral Springs, Florida. At Vino Salon Suites. Message me if you want to get your hair done.
Yeah. Cool. All right. I'll see you Friday to get my hair done.
Oh, I
think I'm coming in on Friday. Yeah. All right, cool. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon. Okay, bye. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Glow State. Please take a moment to subscribe to the show, and then be sure to share it with a friend you know who would love a little glow in their life. I'll see you next time. Now, go glow.